Hello, I'm Stella Farrington. I'm Head of Content at Energy Risk, and I'm joined today by Kevin McGeeney, who is founder and CEO of SCB Group. SCB is a specialist environmental markets broker, and it performed exceptionally well in this year's Commodity Rankings survey. The Commodity Rankings is a poll in which market participants vote for their preferred brokers and dealers across a variety of categories. And within the biofuels section, SCB Group came first in both categories, our ethanol and biodiesel category and advanced biofuels. And it also took the top slot in emissions and ags. So first of all, congratulations to you on your performance in that survey, Kevin.
Thank you very much, Stella.
And I wanted to start by asking you, if I could, about the biofuels markets. Obviously, there's a whole sphere of things that are happening and that are affecting those markets at the moment. So could you talk to us about the latest developments and how you see things progressing from here?
Well, the latest development is a very sad one, the development of the Ukraine war and the pressure it puts on global food supplies. But remember, biofuels act as a safety net for global food supplies. If your concern is food insecurity through war or climate change, you should want the largest biofuel market possible. Because at times like these, the mandates can operate as a safety valve. Reducing the mandate can release food out into where necessary, into the food system, whether it's animal feed or directly for human consumption. That should be done, and that should be done as part of a plan to compensate the biofuel producers for their losses, their short-term losses, and then, as we see how it works, to increase the mandates even up to 50% by 2030, so we were better able to deal with future crises.
Right, and the mandates now are set at what sort of
approximately
average level?
10% on a global level in developed markets.
Okay, so are you saying that you'd like to see them temporarily cut from that mark?
I think that is, given the crisis, that is the correct move.
Yes, okay, interesting. And then of course raised considerably.
And then when we see the benefit of that safety valve, to then increase the size of the whole industry so that we are better prepared in the future.
Yeah, okay, thank you. It'd be great now if we could move on to the voluntary carbon market, another market that has had huge surge of interest in recent years and months. Still has some sort of reputational issues around it, concern maybe that the certificates are not as high quality as mandatory carbon markets. What's your feelings around that? Are the markets changing? Is that a deserved reputation? And how do you see things developing?
Well, perfect is the enemy of progress. And over the decades, the voluntary carbon markets, VCM, have developed as a high integrity market that is serving its community very well. I find it quite ironic that environmentalists who say the VCM is not green enough find themselves on the same side of the debate as the climate change deniers who are, for self-interest, questioning the voluntary carbon market, but with a goal of delaying it. Nevertheless, the voluntary carbon market has grown substantially over the last year, and the prognosis is it will continue to do so. It will form a vital avenue for the private sector to reach carbon neutral on a path to implementing true net zero.
Okay, thank you. If we could talk now about COP26, the meeting that happened right at the end of October last year, perhaps a very good timing for it in that governments were finally able to take their eye off some of the COVID type of focus that they'd had and actually be able to think about something else beyond COVID. It takes a few months, if not years, before some of the impact of these COP meetings is felt. What do you think the impact of COP26 will be on commodities markets and on the energy transition more generally?
COP26 may trigger off the development of the largest commodity market bar none across the world. Article 6 of the agreement embeds market mechanisms for governments to balance emission reductions between themselves. That provides a safe backdrop for the private sector, the corporate world, where the bulk of the emissions are, to adopt market mechanisms as the cheapest, most efficient way of reducing emissions. And out of that, we will see the creation of this market of a size that is not paralleled with any other across the world.
Right, interesting, exciting times. Coming back to the energy risk commodity rankings, SCB also won overall best broker, and that was for the third year running. How do you think it is that you're able to be a specialist environmental markets broker and also win an overall broker place?
Well, I think it's a combination of SCB being a heritage name in the low carbon space. This is our 16th year. We have been helping develop so many of these markets that we're involved in. That combined with the increased global attention to energy transition, plus our significant market share in the places we're in. So yes, we're a niche player, but it's a growing niche, hopefully to supplant the original high carbon alternatives.
And finally, I wanted to come back to the Russia-Ukraine issue, obviously something that's looming large over the world at the moment, and something that is focusing governments' minds on security of supply and affordability, particularly in the UK and other countries in Europe. Do you think that this has stalled momentum for policy around climate change, albeit temporarily?
Yeah. Well, there is no one single policy response to the crisis in Ukraine. One of the responses has been to accelerate and increase the amount of capital made available for renewable energy production across Europe and other markets throughout the world. At the same time as that's happening, yes, the use of high carbon energy will increase in the short term, but that is as logical as it is regrettable. It's a necessary step in the short term. So these policies all exist at the same time.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your time and your insights today, Kevin McGeeney from SCB Group, and thank you very much for watching.